the games that they play, the video games with all the violence, right? All the guns, the music that they listen to, it talks about all of that stuff. No wonder our teens are turning the way that they do.
Despite failed efforts, the advocacy group believes there's still hope, but says it starts at the top.
If the governor wants to make some changes, then she needs to get everybody in legislation to look at the laws that are already on the books and let's revise them.
And several crime bills in New Mexico were tabled at this year's legislative session. It's unclear if it will be addressed at next year's session. In studio, Faith Ibuanu, KOAT, Action 78.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a Democrat governor out in New Mexico by the name of Miss Michelle Lujan Grisham, who is essentially trying to override the United States Constitution by banning law-abiding citizens' rights to carry in public, including concealed carry, because of a public health emergency on gun violence, right? And again, there's a lot of crime going on in New Mexico, particularly in the bigger cities in New Mexico. And the Democrat governor, instead of getting tougher on crime, getting tougher on criminals, she actually wants to get tougher on law-abiding citizens who are simply carrying their concealed weapon in order to defend themselves against these criminals who have basically been emboldened and empowered to commit crimes and to cause chaos and destruction across this country. No, instead of taking more action against them, she decided, hey, you know what? We're just going to ban all guns, okay? We're going to ban all guns in public, okay? In response to this crime crisis. Take a look.
A major announcement today, a bold step in the fight to prevent gun violence, and a decision that is sparking widespread outrage tonight. She has announced a temporary gun ban in public places in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. Tonight, we're explaining the details of this announcement, and we have a lot of new backlash to bring you tonight. Griffin Rushton is here. Griffin, you were at this announcement. We have a lot to go over, but we will note this is a part of a public health order.
Yeah, that's right. She took this step after declaring a public health emergency last night. She's adamant New Mexico is facing a gun violence crisis, especially after this week's deadly road rage shooting. The order suspends open and concealed carry laws for the next 30 days in cities or counties with significantly high violent crime rates and firearm-related hospital visits. That means this order only applies to Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, and there are several exceptions. The order does not affect law enforcement or licensed security officers. It also does not include private properties, licensed firearm retailers, legal firing ranges, and shooting competitions. However, anyone traveling between those locations must store their guns in a locked container or safety box.
The purpose is to try to create a cooling off period while we figure out how we can better address public safety and gun violence.
Part of that includes collecting new data. The order also requires all New Mexico hospitals report more information on gunshot victims, including their age, gender, ethnicity, and the type of gun used. It's also calling for wastewater testing for certain drugs like fentanyl at all public schools. Additionally, the order directs CYFD to take another look at its juvenile probation protocols, a clear sign this order is targeting youth gun violence.
It should horrify every American and every New Mexican that so many young people and so many individuals with no training, with reckless criminal behaviors, are openly carrying firearms in our communities. I'm horrified.
The governor said today more state police officers are heading to Albuquerque, and her order is also committing state resources to arrest more suspects with outstanding warrants. Now, we should add the state is also offering free trigger locks to all gun owners. We're going to put the information on how to get those up on KOB.com.
And almost immediately, this decision sparked a lot of opposition from many different areas in our state.
Yeah, and the governor was expecting that. She said today that she was expecting legal challenges, and she said that not not all the public safety officers that she met with to make this decision agree with her, and that includes Bernalillo County Sheriff John Allen. In a statement, he says, "While I understand and appreciate the urgency, the temporary ban challenges the foundation of our Constitution. I am wary of placing my deputies in positions that could lead to civil liability conflicts, as well as the potential risks posed by prohibiting law-abiding citizens from their constitutional right to self-defense." APD Chief Harold Medina sent a message to his officers tonight saying they will not be enforcing the governor's order. Albuquerque Mayor Tim Keller echoed that message, saying that's up to state police officers. New Mexico Republican leaders and Albuquerque City Councilor and police union leaders have also sharply criticized the governor's decision, largely calling it unconstitutional. Republican Party Chairman Steve Pierce added, "The governor admitted she knew her order is unconstitutional and says her order puts citizens in a dangerous situation and is outright illegal." The governor directly addressed those concerns today.
All the examples you cited are crimes. Kids shooting at other kids, shooting from cars. So what's the value of the civil order? Why not just do better law enforcement?
Both. The value of the order is that it gives me three things. One, it says it's a statewide issue and it's a message to everyone to start leveraging their resources and arresting people. Two, the jurisdictions come at this, including with the DOJ restrictions, differently, without the leveraging and the additional resources, arresting, and where do they go? We got to make sure that everyone is bumping up their services. It's a message to the Metropolitan Detention Center. It's a message to the HMOs. You better figure out treatment. We have been sort of stalled out, to your point. This order basically says, stop stalling out, and to your point, just arrest everyone. Well, I also have to have the ability, I can't arrest everyone. There are literally too many people to arrest.
Well,
this would allow us,
if someone's got a concealed carry permit in Albuquerque walking down a public street, they're not going to get arrested.
I can make the point that maybe they should be. And this is the point. I'm willing to do anything and everything within a shred of evidence-based effort. Because if you're not horrified that on any street corner in too many cities in New Mexico, there is someone with a gun sticking out of their waist or their belt, no constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute. There are restrictions on free speech. There are restrictions on my freedoms. In this emergency, this 11-year-old and all these parents who have lost all these children, they deserve my attention to have the debate about whether or not in an emergency we can create a safer environment.
The governor says she plans on using all the data they're collecting to decide if this public health order should be extended or potentially modified once the 30 days are up.
Right, at least 30 days, it'll be in effect, and we'll keep asking the governor's office whether they plan on extending that when it gets close there. All right, Griffin, thank you.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? This Democrat governor decided to do what Democrats do, which is to be full-blown authoritarians in the face of what she is calling a public health crisis, which is gun violence. She told you straight up, in context, I played the whole thing, okay, so I'm not taking it out of context. She says, look, hey, maybe law-abiding citizens who are exercising their constitutional right to carry, including concealed carry, maybe they should be arrested. Maybe everybody should be arrested, which, you know, hey, I wouldn't disagree with her if she said that all criminals should be arrested, right? All these people that are committing these crimes, that are committing these acts of gun violence, which again are already crimes, maybe, just maybe, you should focus more on arresting more the people who are actually committing the crimes rather than punishing law-abiding citizens, because that's what's happening here, okay? That's exactly what's happening. This woman is saying we need to punish law-abiding citizens because criminals misuse firearms, right? So therefore, we got to ban everybody from being able to carry or to defend themselves in public from the criminals who are clearly just not going to abide by this order. Again, I'm not sure exactly what this governor thinks she's accomplishing by essentially banning law-abiding citizens from being able to protect themselves when criminals don't follow the law. That's why they're criminals, right? A criminal who commits an act of violence with a firearm is already committing a crime. You go and you arrest that criminal and you put him in jail. Okay? A law-abiding citizen that is exercising their constitutional right to carry is not committing a crime. They're not hurting anybody. I'm not sure why you would want to arrest that person or why you would want to ban that person from having a gun unless, again, this is more about ideology and taking advantage of the fact that, you know, there's a crime crisis apparently in cities like Albuquerque and around New Mexico. You taking advantage of that in order to impose what we all know Democrats want to do, right? This is a Democrat's wet dream, okay, to ban all guns, right? Yeah, this is exactly what they want to do, okay? And they're using crime as an excuse to do it instead of getting tougher on crime. What you do is that you call a legislative session, since, you know, crime is such a problem, you get lawmakers together and you say, hey, look, let's solve crime. Let's figure out how to actually clean up our streets. Again, I've been saying this, and people think I'm being controversial when I say this, but I'm telling you, this country needs another crime bill, okay? We need another crime bill. We got to get tougher on violent criminals. We need more prisons, not less prisons, okay? We need more mass incarceration, okay? We need more mental health institutions. That's what we need. We need more people that are institutionalized, okay? We got to start institutionalizing people in this country, okay? Because some of these people just, they're not cut out for society, right? I'm just keeping it 100. I'm a realist, okay? I'm not living in dream world. I'm keeping it 100. But again, Democrats, because, you know, they don't want to be racist, locking up black people is racist. And we're in New Mexico here, so maybe we're not talking about black people, right? Maybe we're talking about Hispanics, okay? Or Latinos. Locking up Latinos or white folks is racist, right? Locking up non-white people is racist. They don't want to be tough on crime. They want to be soft on crime. And then in response to crime getting out of control because they want to be soft on crime, they want to then punish law-abiding citizens and take away their constitutional rights. Democrats are so ass backwards at every step. At every step. Law-abiding citizens who carry are not the problem. They don't go running around looking for trouble, putting themselves in situations where they may have to use their firearm. In fact, they do the exact opposite. We actively avoid situations where we may have to use our firearm, right? We try not to ever put ourselves in that situation because we understand what the potential ramifications are of having to use your firearm, okay? You don't have a problem with guns. You have a problem with criminals and gangs. You have a problem with criminals who are breaking the law. And you got to deal with the criminals and the gangs. That's what you got to deal with. But hey, shout out to the police though, right? The local police are saying, look, this is unconstitutional. We're not going to enforce it, right? Which is what I love to see, okay? And I've seen this quite a bit, right? I've seen this quite a bit. Local law enforcement standing up for law-abiding citizens and our rights to carry every single time these Democrats and these, you know, liberal media journalists or whatever try to press them on gun violence. They always make it clear for the most part, it's not the guns, it's the criminals. And that's what I love to see from law enforcement. When law enforcement stands up for the Constitution, which is their job to enforce the Constitution, again, this is why, generally speaking, I back the blue, right? Because overall, they're good people and they understand that, hey, we're just trying to make sure that the laws of the land are followed. And as police, we're not going to arrest citizens who are lawfully carrying. We're not going to. That is their constitutional right. So I love the fact that the local police are standing up to this governor and telling her, nah, we're not doing this. We're not going along with this nonsense. And they shouldn't go along with it. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that, again, you would arrest a law-abiding citizen simply for exercising his constitutional right. That blows my mind. But again, this is where we're at. This is what you vote for when you vote for Democrats. You're voting for this type of overt authoritarianism. They take advantage of public health crises, right? They'll declare anything a public health crisis at this point, right? Even guns. And then they'll, you know, institute some, again, these authoritarian laws that take away your rights. And then they turn around and tell you, well, I'm trying to keep you safe. Well, how the hell are you keeping me safe when you're taking away my right to defend myself against criminals who are not going to follow that law, right? They're going to carry and they're going to have their weapon, and you're trying to take away my weapon. That's not keeping me safe. You're actually putting my life in danger. That's exactly what's happening. So again, shout out to the police, the local police, for rejecting this, and the sheriffs. That's why they're sending the state police to some of these cities to enforce the law. We'll see what happens. I think clearly this is going to get struck down, but it shows you once again how authoritarian the Democrats are and what they actually really want to do when it comes to this issue of the Second Amendment and guns in this country. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.